Chapter 1. The first word I ever spoke alone. The room was quiet. The light was soft. My books were closed. My phone was off. I was sitting alone in the corner of my room. Outside, I could hear the world, cars passing, children playing, someone talking far away. But inside, everything was still. I was holding a notebook. Its pages were full of English words. I had written them again and again, but I had never said them out loud. I always thought about them, read them, even dreamed about them. But speaking? That was different. That was scary. I had always been afraid of speaking English. In school, I never raised my hand. In class, I stayed quiet. At home, I listened but didn't join. I thought my voice would sound wrong. I thought people would laugh. I thought I would make a mistake. So I stayed silent. For a long time, I believed English was only for people who lived in other countries, who had special teachers, who went to big schools. I was not one of them. I was just a student, a shy one, a quiet one. But that night something changed. I looked at the mirror. I saw myself. My face was calm, but my heart was loud. It was beating so fast. I felt nervous, even though I was alone. I looked at my lips. They were dry. I took a deep breath. Then I looked down at my notebook. The first word on the list was, hello. Just one word. I had heard it 1,000 times in movies. I had read it in books. I had written it so many times, but I had never said it. Not once. I looked at the mirror again. My eyes were scared, but curious. I opened my mouth. No sound came. I closed it again. Then I whispered inside my head, hello, hello, hello. It was like practicing a song before singing. I felt silly. I felt small. But I didn't stop. I opened my mouth again and let the word come out. Hello. It was soft. It was weak. But it was real. It was mine. I stood there for a moment. I looked at my reflection. I had spoken an English word. I had used my own voice. And no one laughed. No one judged. No one corrected me. I smiled. A little smile. Just enough to feel proud. Then I tried again. Hello. This time it was louder. I liked how it sounded. I liked that I could say it. I liked that I didn't need anyone's permission. I said it again. Hello. Then I added more. My name is Ali. I am learning English. I said it slowly, carefully. I looked at my mouth in the mirror. I saw how it moved. I liked this game. I liked this freedom. That night, I didn't stop at one word. I said 10, then 20. I made small sentences. I didn't care if they were perfect. I didn't care if the grammar was wrong. I just wanted to speak, and I did. I said, I have a book. This is a pen. I like to learn. The words felt new, but they also felt good. They came from inside me, not from a teacher, not from a video, not from a textbook. From me. The mirror became my partner. It didn't talk back, but it helped me. I watched myself speak. I saw my fear become smaller. I saw my voice become stronger. Every word gave me more confidence. I was not fluent. I was not fast. But I was real, and that mattered. I remembered how I used to think English was hard, too hard. But that night it felt simple. Not because I knew everything, but because I finally started. I realized that the first step is not reading, it's not writing, it's speaking, even one word, even in a whisper. That night changed everything. I went to sleep feeling different. I had said something. I had broken the silence. I was not waiting anymore. I was not hiding. I was doing it. I was learning. And the next morning, I did it again. I closed the door. I stood in front of the mirror. I said, "Hello." Then I said, "Good morning." Then I said, "I am ready to learn." It became my habit. Every day I spoke. I didn't need a class. I didn't need an audience. I just needed a little courage and a little time. Now, when I remember that night, I feel proud. Not because I said a perfect sentence, but because I said anything at all. That first hello was more than a word. It was a beginning, a key that opened a door. Behind that door was a new version of me, a person who believed he could speak. And if you are reading this, maybe you are standing at the same door. Maybe you are afraid to say something. Maybe your first word is still waiting. Don't wait. Say it. Say it now. Even if it's just hello. That small word can start something big. It did for me. It can for you too. Chapter 2. My room became my classroom. At first it was just a room. 4 walls, a bed, a table, a chair, a small mirror on the door, a bookshelf with a few old novels and my school notebooks. It looked like any other room. It was where I slept, where I did my homework, where I scrolled my phone before sleeping. But after that first hello, the room started to change. It didn't change its shape. It changed its meaning. It became more than just a place to stay. It became my classroom, my own little English world. Every morning I woke up with one thought in my head. What can I say today? I would sit up in bed, look around, and speak out loud. This is my bed. I am sitting. The pillow is white. The fan is spinning. Simple sentences, easy words, but every word gave life to my English. The walls were no longer quiet. My voice bounced from corner to corner. I talked to the air. I talked to the books. I talked to myself. My chair became a special part of my learning. I called it teacher. I stood in front of it and pretended I was in class. I said, "Good morning, teacher." Then I asked and answered questions. What is your name? My name is Allie. How are you? I am fine, thank you. It felt silly in the beginning, but I didn't care. I was speaking. I was trying. I was learning. My notebook was not just for writing anymore. It became my speaking guide. Every day, I wrote 5 new words. Then I made sentences with them. Then I read them out loud. Once, twice, 10 times. I would say, "This is a bottle. I drink water. Water is good." I used what I had: a bottle, a pencil, a bag, a window. Everything became part of my practice. I was not waiting for perfect tools. My room gave me everything I needed. The mirror was my favorite. I stood in front of it and watched myself speak. I watched how my mouth moved. I copied the way people talked in English videos. I noticed their smiles, their eyes, their hands. I copied their sounds. I copied their style. Sometimes I acted out scenes from movies. I pretended to be in a cafe. I said, "Can I have a coffee, please?" I acted like a tourist. "Excuse me, where's the museum?" I even pretended to be a news reporter. "Good evening. This is Ali speaking. Today's weather is sunny." I laughed at myself, but I also learned. My bookshelf became a stage. I stood next to it and read short stories aloud, slowly, with feeling. I didn't worry about big words. I didn't stop if I made mistakes. I just kept reading. Reading made me feel like I was inside the story. Speaking made me feel like the story was inside me. My room was no longer quiet. It was full of English, full of learning, full of life. Every day brought something new. One day, I described everything I could see. The wall is white, the table is brown, the curtain is blue. Another day, I talked about what I was doing. I am sitting, I am writing, I am thinking. I kept it simple, but I kept going. I used my phone to find meanings when I didn't know a word. Then I used that word again and again. It became part of me. Sometimes I sang songs in English. I didn't sing well, but it made me happy. I repeated lyrics. I copied the accent. I learned new words from music. Sometimes I recorded myself speaking. Then I listened. I found my mistakes. I corrected them the next day. I was not afraid to sound strange. I was excited to improve. I remember one evening I stood in the middle of my room and said, "This is my classroom." It felt true. It was my school, my practice space, my confidence room. No one else was there. But I was learning more than ever. I was not waiting for a perfect environment. I had already created it. My room taught me something powerful. Learning does not always need money. It does not always need teachers. Sometimes it just needs a little creativity, a little courage, and a lot of speaking. My room listened to every word. It never laughed. It never judged. It became my safe place. My English grew there, day by day, word by word. And if you are reading this, maybe you are sitting in a room like mine. Maybe it feels small. Maybe it feels boring. But it can become your classroom too. Just start. Speak to your mirror. Talk to your chair. Describe your desk. Make your space your stage. Your voice is your teacher. Your room is your school. You already have everything you need. All you have to do is begin. Chapter 3. The Voice in My Head. Changed language. Before, everything in my mind was in my native language. My thoughts, my dreams, my feelings, they all had the same voice. When I tried to speak in English, I had to stop and translate. I would think in my own language, then try to find the English words. It made my sentences slow. It made me nervous. Sometimes the words didn't match. I would forget what I wanted to say. I would stay quiet. The problem was not my mouth. The problem was my mind. But one morning, I tried something new. I woke up, opened my eyes, and said in my mind, "I am awake." Just 3 words, easy words, but it was a different feeling. I had started my day with English, not with translation, but with thinking. I didn't speak it out loud, just in my mind. But it was enough. It was a small change, but it felt powerful. That morning, when I brushed my teeth, I said, "This is my toothbrush." While washing my face, I said, "The water is cold." When I got dressed, I said, "I am wearing a blue shirt." I began to train my brain like a child. Children do not learn by grammar rules. They learn by noticing things and saying what they see. I decided to do the same. I looked around and said everything I could in English, even if it was simple. That is a window. This is my bag. The fan is on. I stopped waiting for perfect sentences. I used small, clear thoughts. I didn't worry about mistakes. I didn't worry about accents. I just wanted my brain to use English. Not sometimes, but all the time. At first, it was not easy. My native language kept pulling me back. But I pushed forward. I practiced while walking. I am walking. I see a tree. That dog is barking. I practiced while eating. I am eating rice. The tea is hot. I like this taste. I used my inner voice as a teacher. I didn't need anyone to listen. I just needed to think differently. I had spoken to the mirror. Now I was speaking to my mind. When I sat quietly, I asked myself questions in English. What will I do today? What is my plan? Am I happy? Then I answered out loud. I will study. I want to improve. Yes, I feel good. It felt strange in the beginning, but slowly it became natural. It became fun. It became my habit. I even started dreaming in English. Not full dreams, just small pieces. A word here, a line there. But it was happening. Sometimes I would look in the mirror and say, "You can do it." I would smile at myself and say, "You are learning." It gave me confidence. It gave me courage. I didn't need grammar books all the time. I didn't need long lessons. I needed simple thoughts, spoken often, repeated daily. I needed to live in English, even if only in my mind. When I watched videos, I didn't just watch. I repeated sentences in my head. I said them again later when I was alone. I copied how the speakers used their voice, how they paused, how they smiled. I imagined myself saying those things. I imagined being in that place, having that conversation. And my brain slowly started to change. I stopped translating. I started speaking directly. The words came faster. The sentences felt easier. The fear became smaller. Even during boring tasks, I practiced. Washing dishes? I am washing a plate. Waiting for a bus? The bus is late. I am waiting. Looking out the window? The sky is blue. The sun is bright. English was not just a language anymore. It was a tool for thinking. It was a part of me. The more I thought in English, the more I wanted to speak. The more I spoke, the more I believed I could learn. I was no longer watching English from a distance. I was inside it, walking through it, living in it. I didn't need someone to tell me I was fluent. I knew I was improving because I could hear it in my thoughts. Some days were slow. Some days I forgot. But I always came back. I always reminded myself, one thought at a time. And now, when I think, I do not need to translate. I just speak. I just say. I just feel. That voice in my head? It speaks English now, and if you're wondering how to start, begin small. Look at your room. Say what you see. Ask yourself how you feel. Answer in English. Make your thoughts your lessons. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. One sentence, one moment, one thought at a time. Let your mind become your classroom. Let your thoughts become your teachers. Let English live inside you. Because when your brain changes its language, your whole world opens up. Chapter 4. Mistakes became my friends. In school, I was always quiet. Not because I didn't want to speak, but because I was afraid. Afraid of getting it wrong. Afraid of saying something stupid. Afraid of hearing laughter or correction. I remember the feeling. The teacher would ask, "What is the answer?" I would know the answer in my mind, but I would stay silent. I would look down. I would hope the teacher asked someone else. I was afraid of mistakes. I thought making a mistake meant I was weak, that I was not smart, that I didn't belong in the English classroom. But when I started learning by myself, something changed. There was no teacher, no classmates, no eyes watching me. Just me, just my voice, just my words. And when I made a mistake, nothing bad happened. The walls didn't laugh. The mirror didn't frown. The notebook didn't say, "That's wrong." I said something, realized it was wrong, and then corrected it. And that was okay. That was more than okay. It was good. I remember one time I said, "She go to school every day." Then I stopped. I knew it didn't sound right. I paused and thought. Then I said, "She goes to school every day." I corrected myself. No one taught me. No one corrected me. I corrected myself because I was listening to my own voice. I was learning from my mistake. And I smiled. I said both sentences again. I played with them. I enjoyed the process. There was a day I tried to talk about my lunch. I said, "I am eat rice." It felt wrong. I stopped and said, "I am eating rice." Then again, "I eat rice." I didn't know which one was better, so I looked it up. I read the explanation. I learned the rule. Not because someone forced me, but because I was curious. The mistake opened the door to a lesson, and the lesson stayed with me because I had discovered it myself. After that, I started making more mistakes on purpose. I would say new sentences and test if they sounded right. If they didn't, I fixed them. If they did, I said them louder. I was not afraid anymore. I was free. Free to explore. Free to try. Free to fail. And that freedom made me strong. Sometimes I made funny mistakes. One day I said, "I am boring," when I wanted to say, "I am bored." I laughed for 10 minutes. I imagined myself as a boring person walking around. It made me smile. And because I laughed, I never forgot the difference between bored and boring. That's what mistakes can do. They teach you more than grammar. They teach you confidence. They teach you memory. They teach you joy. Every time I made a mistake, I saw it as progress, not as failure. Because making a mistake means you are trying. You are pushing yourself. You are moving forward. People who never make mistakes are not learning. They are just staying safe. But I didn't want to be safe. I wanted to grow. I remember reading a line once. Mistakes are proof that you are trying. I wrote it on a paper and stuck it to my mirror. I looked at it every day. I made 100 mistakes a day, and I was proud of everyone. My pronunciation was not always good. My sentence order was sometimes wrong. My words were sometimes mixed. But I kept speaking. I kept learning. I kept improving. I stopped waiting for perfect English. Perfect never comes, but progress, it comes every day. If you speak, if you try, if you accept your mistakes and move forward. I knew I would never sound like a native speaker, and that was fine. I just wanted to sound like someone who speaks bravely, who speaks clearly, who speaks with heart. Now, when someone asks me, "How did you learn to speak?" I say, "By making mistakes." Not by studying grammar books all day, not by memorizing rules, but by speaking, failing, learning, trying again. I didn't run from mistakes, I welcomed them. I hugged them like friends, because they were my best teachers. And if you are afraid of making mistakes, don't be. Speak. Say something. If it's wrong, smile. Say it again. Say it better. Then say something new. Every mistake is a step. Every step is a lesson. And every lesson is a victory. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be brave. Let your mistakes teach you. Let them guide you. Let them walk with you on this journey. Because when you stop fearing mistakes, you stop fearing English. And when that fear is gone, you finally begin to speak with freedom. Chapter 5. Speaking without needing a listener. I never had a speaking partner. No friend to talk to in English. No classmate who wanted to practice. No family member who could join me. At first, I thought this was a big problem. Everyone said, "Find a partner. Practice with a friend." But what if you don't have one? What if you are alone? I was alone, but I didn't give up. I didn't stop. I found a way. I learned to speak English without needing anyone to listen. It started slowly. I looked at the wall and said, "Good morning." Then I said, "Today is Monday." I feel good. I imagined I was giving a speech. My wall became my audience. It didn't respond, but it didn't laugh either. That gave me confidence. I added more. Today I will study. I will learn 5 new words. I smiled. I liked the sound of my voice. I liked the way English felt on my tongue. Next, I turned to the mirror. I stood in front of it and acted like a news reporter. "Good evening. This is Ali. Today's top story." I made up stories. I read real headlines and repeated them. I described the weather. I reported my own thoughts. Today, I learned 3 new sentences. I looked at my face as I spoke. I practiced moving my lips. I tried to sound clear. I tried to sound confident. No one was watching, but I was performing. I imagined situations. I created scenes in my mind. I said, "Hello, nice to meet you." Then I answered, "Nice to meet you too." I asked, "What's your name?" Then replied, "My name is Ali." I had full conversations, by myself. It felt like a game, a funny game, but a useful one. I practiced talking to a shopkeeper. "How much is this?" I practiced asking for help. "Excuse me, where is the bank?" I pretended to be a tourist, a student, a friend, a guide. Each time I became a little better. I also gave interviews to myself. I sat on my bed and asked questions. Why do you want to learn English? Then I answered, because I want to travel. I want to talk to people. I want to understand the world. I asked, what is your biggest challenge? I answered, I am afraid of making mistakes, but I am trying. These self-interviews helped me build full answers. I didn't need anyone to ask me. I could ask myself. And I could reply with honesty. Sometimes I pretended I was in a movie. I copied the way actors spoke. I repeated their lines. I added my own. I acted like I was ordering food. Can I have a coffee, please? I acted like I was meeting someone new. Hi, my name is Allie. Where are you from? These scenes made my practice fun. They gave me energy. I was not just learning English. I was living it, creating it, speaking it, alone but not lonely. There were days when I felt silly, talking to the air, talking to nothing. But I reminded myself, this is practice, this is progress. Every word I said was helping me. Every sentence was building my voice. Slowly, I found my rhythm. I found my style. I knew how to start a sentence, how to pause, how to finish. My words began to flow. I didn't need perfect grammar. I didn't need fast speech. I just needed courage. The courage to speak even when no one was listening. Because I was listening, and that was enough. My voice became clearer. My thinking became faster. My confidence became stronger. I was teaching myself every day with no teacher. Sometimes I recorded myself. I would speak for 1 minute about anything. Today I ate mango. I cleaned my room. I watched a movie. Then I listened. I checked my voice, my mistakes, my fluency. I didn't judge. I just improved. 1 day at a time, 1 word at a time. Now I don't feel strange when I speak alone. I enjoy it. It is my time to grow, my time to focus, my time to be free. Speaking without a listener made me a better speaker. Because I stopped waiting, I stopped fearing, I started doing. If you are alone, do not worry. You can still speak. Your mirror is your friend. Your room is your audience. Your voice is your power. Don't wait for someone to talk to you. Talk to yourself. Talk with heart. Talk with purpose. Because when you speak alone, you are never really alone. You are with your dreams, with your goals, with your growing self. And one day, when you finally speak with someone else, you will be ready. Because you have practiced, you have prepared, you have spoken 1,000 times before, just without a reply. But now the reply will come, and you will answer, not with fear, but with pride. Chapter 6. Turning Daily Life into Daily English. There was a time when English felt like a subject in school. It had rules. It had exams. It had marks. It was something to study, not something to live. I used to open my books, learn for 1 hour, close the books, and forget about English until the next day. But then, something changed. I realized that if I only practiced during study time, I would never grow fast. I needed more. I needed English to become part of my daily life, not just 1 hour, all day, every day. I started with small things. When I woke up, I said, I am awake. When I brushed my teeth, I looked at the mirror and said, I am brushing my teeth. This is toothpaste. The water is cold. I looked around and gave everything a name. This is the towel. That is the sink. I am washing my face. It was simple, but it was real. I was using real English for real things. In the kitchen, I practiced more. I am boiling water. This is rice. The oil is hot. I said everything out loud, even if it was just one word. I opened the cupboard and said, this is salt. This is sugar. This is tea. I made small sentences as I cooked. I am making breakfast. I cut the vegetables. I use a spoon. I didn't care if someone heard me. I didn't care if I sounded strange. I was learning. While walking, I spoke softly to myself. I am walking to the store. There is a tree. That man is running. I looked at the sky and said, the clouds are white. The sun is bright. The wind is cool. I was not sitting in a classroom, but I was learning more than ever, because now English was not just in my head. It was in my day, in my actions, in my life. Cleaning the room became another lesson. I said, I am cleaning the floor. This is a broom. I put the books on the table. I made my daily tasks my daily practice. There were no breaks from English. Every moment became a chance to speak. Every chore became a chance to grow. One of the best things I did was change the language on my phone. Everything became English. Settings, messages, apps. At first, it was confusing. I didn't understand some words, but I didn't switch back. I learned by using. I discovered meanings. I explored. Soon, I got used to it. English didn't feel like a second language anymore. It felt normal. I also started watching cartoons in English, simple ones, with clear voices. I listened. I repeated lines. I paused and copied the characters. What's your name? Let's go. I am hungry. These small sentences stayed in my mind. They were easy to remember, easy to use. I didn't need hard books or long lessons. I just needed fun, easy English that matched my level. Music helped too. I listened to English songs and sang along. Even if I didn't understand every word, I liked the sound. I looked up the lyrics. I practiced them. Slowly, I started catching phrases. I miss you. Stay with me. I believe in you. These words felt like friends. They stayed with me. They helped me feel the language. When I watched videos or movies, I didn't just watch. I talked back to the screen. I repeated lines. I copied accents. I paused and said the sentence myself. I didn't just sit and listen. I moved my lips. I used my voice. That made a big difference. Even in the shower, I spoke. The water is warm. I am washing my hair. I laughed sometimes, but it worked. I was surrounding myself with English. Every part of my life was becoming part of my learning. Now, English is not something I study. It is something I live. It is part of my morning, part of my meals, part of my walks, my phone, my music, my cleaning, my thinking. Everything has English in it. I didn't need a classroom. I didn't need a teacher. I just needed to bring English into my day. And you can do it too. You don't need extra time. You just need to use the time you already have. Talk while walking. Think in English while cooking. Describe things around you. Change your phone's language. Watch easy videos. Repeat what you hear. Let your daily life teach you. Because when English is everywhere, you start to speak without fear. You start to think without effort. You stop waiting for practice time because your whole life becomes practice. And that is how real learning begins. Quietly, naturally, one moment at a time, one word at a time, every day. Chapter 7. Thinking. Like an English speaker. For a long time I was stuck between two languages. My thoughts came in one, but my words had to come out in another. I always felt slow. I would think in my language, then translate. I would ask myself, how do I say this in English? I would build the sentence in my mind, word by word, and speak it with fear. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but it always felt heavy, like carrying too many bags across a bridge. Then one day I stopped. I said, no more translation. I told myself, just speak the thought in English, even if it's simple, even if it's wrong. I started using small, clear words, not big vocabulary, not fancy grammar. I said, I am tired. I feel happy. That was good. Simple ideas, direct words, and something beautiful happened. I felt free. Instead of asking, how do I say this in English? I started asking, what do I feel right now? Then I said it the way I could. No translation, no comparison, just the thought, in English. At first, the sentences were short, but they were fast. They were alive. I was no longer dragging words across languages. I was thinking in English, and it felt light. I watched English movies differently. Before, I watched for subtitles. Now, I watched for style, for emotion, for the small things, how a person said, sorry, how they paused after, I don't know, how they laughed while saying, that's crazy. I noticed their voice, how soft it became when they were sad, how loud it was when they were angry. I saw that English was not just words, it was feeling, it was music, it was movement, so I copied them. I paused like they did. I used my hands, I changed my tone. I smiled while saying, thank you. I frowned while saying, I'm tired. I didn't just speak, I performed, not for anyone else, but for myself. I wanted to feel the words, not just say them. I wanted to make English a part of me, not just something I borrowed. When I heard someone say, let's go, I said it too, with energy. When I heard, I'm not sure, I whispered it the same way. I practiced tone. I practiced emotion. I practiced silence. I realized that good English is not fast. It's not perfect. It's real. It's natural. It sounds like a person, not a textbook. In the beginning, I still made mistakes. But I didn't stop, because I was not focused on rules anymore. I was focused on meaning. I started listening more to how something was said. not just what was said. I noticed how questions go up in sound. Are you okay? I noticed how strong feelings go down. I'm fine. These little things made a big difference. They made my English feel alive. I remember one day I was walking and thinking, not in my language, but in English. I was asking myself, what do I need to do today? I need to buy milk. I have to clean my room. I smiled. I didn't realize it at first, but I was thinking naturally. I didn't translate. I didn't pause. I just thought. In English. It was a quiet moment, but it felt big. It felt like the final wall had broken. Now, English is not a second language for me. It is part of my thoughts, part of my voice, part of my heart. I don't say, I speak English. I say, I live English. I feel it when I speak. I hear it when I think. It doesn't mean I'm perfect. It means I'm free. If you want to think like an English speaker, don't wait. Start with your heart. Say what you feel. Don't worry about big words. Use real ones. Watch how people talk in movies. Notice the pauses, the tone, the feeling. Then copy it. Use it. Make it yours. You don't need to sound like a native speaker. You just need to sound like someone who feels the language, someone who means what they say, someone who is not translating, but living. Because when you stop comparing, when you stop translating, and when you start feeling, English stops being something outside of you. It becomes part of who you are, and that is the moment you truly begin to speak. Chapter 8. I am my own teacher. Now, when I look back, I see a long road, a quiet road, a road filled with small steps, small efforts, and small victories. It did not begin with a teacher. It did not begin in a school. It began with a whisper, one word, one breath. Hello. That was the start. I was sitting alone in my room. No one heard me. No one helped me. No one corrected me. But that one word was the beginning of everything. I did not travel to an English-speaking country. I did not join an expensive course. I did not sit in a classroom full of students. I sat in front of a mirror. I stood next to my bed. I walked around my room. I spoke to the walls. I talked to myself. I listened to my own voice. Day after day. Word after word. I built my English, not with money, but with time. Not with fear, but with patience. Not with someone else's lessons, but with my own. At first, I was unsure. I was nervous. My sentences were broken. My grammar was not strong, but I spoke anyway, because I knew. The only way to learn speaking is to speak. I didn't wait for permission. I didn't wait for a partner. I became my own partner. I made my room my class. I made my mistakes my teachers. I made my voice my guide. I remember the early days. Every sentence felt slow. Every word felt heavy. But I kept going. I kept talking while brushing my teeth, while walking, while eating. I asked myself questions. I answered. I copied lines from cartoons. I gave fake news reports. I practiced interviews. I imagined conversations. I made my daily life my daily English lesson. My thinking also changed. I stopped translating. I stopped building English from my native words. I started thinking directly. I looked at the sky and said, "It's beautiful." I opened the fridge and said, "There is milk." I spoke naturally, without fear, without delay. English stopped being a school subject. It became part of my mind, part of my day, part of my life, and my mistakes? I made hundreds. I said the wrong things. I mixed words. I got the tenses wrong, but I learned. I listened to myself. I noticed the errors. I fixed them. I laughed. I moved on. I never let mistakes stop me. They were not my enemy. They were my lesson. They showed me where to grow. Now I speak with confidence. I don't need someone to say, "You're correct." I know I'm learning. I feel it. I hear it. When I speak, I don't think too much. The words come. The voice flows. My mouth and my mind move together. I don't panic. I don't pause. I just speak. And the best part is, this journey is mine. No one gave it to me. I created it. I built it. With my own hands, with my own time, with my own voice. I didn't follow a perfect plan. I just started. And I didn't stop. That's all. Now I wake up and say, what can I learn today? I watch videos. I repeat lines. I talk to myself in English. I read. I listen. I think. I teach myself. I am not waiting for a perfect moment. I am not waiting for someone to guide me. I am my own teacher every single day. And if you are reading this, know that you can do it too. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need a perfect accent. You don't need to be rich. You just need your voice and the courage to use it. Speak. Whisper if you must, but speak. Look at yourself in the mirror. Say one word, then say two, then a sentence, then a paragraph. Don't worry if it sounds strange. Don't worry if you make mistakes. Keep going, because one day you will look back, just like I did, and you will smile. You will remember the silence, the struggle, the funny mistakes, the small wins, and you will know I did this. I built my English, with my own hands, with my own will. I am my own teacher, and that, my friend, is real success.